Hey guys, welcome back to another repaint video here at the compound. Today we'll be taking on the second dino from the Epic Attack wave. Last week we did the Jurassic Park 3 Raptor, and this week we'll be giving this, of course, oddly out of scale Dilophosaurus a retro repaint inspired by the OG electronic Kenner one. Now, I have done this particular repaint before on the Little Fallen Kingdom Dilophosaurus some time ago, back in 2018. It's hard to believe it's been that long since I've done this repaint. So since it's been a while, maybe you saw the video, maybe you missed it. I don't know, it probably got lost in the algorithm, who knows. But since it has been a while, I believe it is time to revisit that deco and throw down a new retro repaint 2.0 on this dinosaur. So the color palette on the Kenner figure is pretty simple, so if you are painting along with me, this should be a fairly easy repaint for you to tackle. As always, I will leave all of the supplies and the materials that I'm using down below in the description box, so you can just click on the links and you can follow it to Amazon and pick up the exact paint that I'm using. But again, the paint and stuff that I use is not gospel. Use whatever you have available to you, and always remember to have fun. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get this dino out of the box and get started. So the first color to go down is going to be that white base color, and instead of going in with just straight white, I kind of want the skin tone to have the undertones of some green and some gray in there. So I am going to be mixing Vallejo light green gray mixed with a little bit of dead white to brighten it up a little bit, and then I'll just thin it down in my airbrush and lay down a couple of thin coats. With all the white done, the next color to go down is going to be that pinkish red tone on the lower jaw and neck. And for that, I'll be mixing Vallejo Pale Flesh with a little bit of Vallejo Red Ink to make a dark warm pink tone. I've got some of the areas masked off with Silly Putty just to prevent any overspray. And I'll go in and lay down the pink on the lower jaw and then fade it down into the neck. So now that we have the base color and the jaw done, now we need to start laying down the green deco. For that, I'll be grabbing Vallejo Goblin Green and mix it with some Vallejo Dark Green, and I'll start to grind out all of the green patterns. I've got the paint thinned down to help it flow on, and I'm using a large tipped brush for the larger patterns, using a dabbing motion and just kind of dabbing the patterns on. And then I'll use a fine tip brush for the smaller splotches along the sides of the crest. Once all of the patterns are done, I'm going to take that same green paint that I used and pop it in my airbrush, and I'll do a green fade along the edges of the frill, and I'm just using a folded paper towel to prevent any overspray. And lastly, I'm going to take some of the straight Goblin Green without any of the dark green paint in it, and I want to apply some highlights with a dry brush, just hitting all of the raised areas to get all those details to pop. Last up is the hardest part of this repaint, and that is applying all of the stripes on the frill. For that, I'll be using the same color I used on the lower jaw and the neck. And the trick here to get clean, sharp lines is getting that paint thin and using a fine tip brush, and just go in nice and slow and carefully lay down the stripes. There's not a whole lot of room here for error, so you really want to make sure you have the design you want planned out in your head before you start to lay them down. And I'm going to go for a different design than what's on the original Kenner frill, since those patterns were just airbrushed on real quick at the factory and they're not really the best. So I think for a modern interpretation of this figure, this pattern will look the best on this thing. So we're finally done with all of the painting, and the last thing to do to make this an official retro repaint is give the new Dilophosaurus the official mark of Jurassic Park. And for that, I like to use water slide decals from Bad Mother Tattoo. I'll drop a link down below if you want to grab a set. They come on sheets like this and in several different sizes, and they are available in black and white font, so you can choose the appropriate color for the dinosaur you're painting. But now that this Dilophosaurus is properly branded with the mark of Jurassic Park, this retro repaint is done and ready to join the other Kenner-inspired repaints on the display shelf here at the compound. So as always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me here at the compound. I hope this video has helped inspire you in some way, shape, or form. If you give this a shot, remember to tag me over on Instagram at the Jurassic Park compound and use the hashtag #RetroRepaints, because I'd love to see what you guys can come up with. In the meantime, for more Jurassic related content, you know where to find it. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I'll see you around the compound.